Legendary TV interviewer Bill Moyers wrote, "Freedom begins the moment that you realize that someone else has been writing your story, and it's time that you took the pen from them and wrote it yourself." Well, actually, that's not true. Actually, our true spiritual freedom has been with us since the moment of creation. We were born free as the grass grows. I thought of that song, but you know, I'm not going to sing it because I don't remember all the words. Okay. That kind of happens to people, I understand, as they mature spiritually. Anyway, in the book of Genesis, we are told that we are born free. And we were created to be loving, powerful lights in this world. We have meaning and we have worth simply because we are. And because Genesis tells us that we have been created in the image and the likeness of God, okay? Remember Catherine Coleman? I believe in miracles because I believe in God. Okay? We have been created in the image and likeness of God. An actual chip off the old block of God is called the Christ, and it indwells each of us. So God created us in his own image and likeness, male and female, and blessed us and told us to be fruitful and to multiply and to take care of the earth that has been created. We're given the fish and the fowls in the sky and the animals creeping on the earth and the flowing air, the fruit of the trees and the seeds. Everything that we need has been provided for a happy living. And God saw everything that it had made, and behold, it was very good. I found it interesting that on the other days of creation, God stopped at the end of the day and saw everything and declared it good. But the sixth day, when God created humans, it tells us that God took a look and said, "This is very good." Okay. So we just got a little extra plus there, okay, when God created all of us. Here's a metaphysical meaning of the word freedom. This is from Charles Fillmore's spiritual dictionary, The Revealing Word. Freedom, he wrote, is the quality or the state of being without thought and without restraint, without bondage, without limitation or repression. Having a sense of complete well-being, this is freedom. And it is the result of regulating our life according to principle, not according to what anyone else may say or think. And I think what our Unity co-founder is saying is that freedom is a natural state for us. Look at how free children are until we tell them that they are limited, and they begin to believe us. The quality or state of being without thought. Now that's an interesting definition for freedom. It means that we don't have to think about it. We don't have to conjure up freedom. It's there, it's a part of us. But what we often have to do is remember that we are free. Remember, Emily Cady's whole prescription for what ails humanity is that we believe that we are in bondage to things. And we know that this, in truth, is an illusion because we were born free. Now, what is a principle? We are loved, we are cared for, always in the loving presence and power that we call God, or divine love, or our higher power, or the infinite is. Fillmore says, a sense of awareness of freedom comes as a result of our regulating our life according to principle. So you may ask, what is principle? You may ask, what is principle? My dictionary reads that a principle is, number one, a fundamental truth or a proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief or of behavior, or for a chain of reasoning. And number 2, it's a functional ground rule. It's where you start. And number 3, it's a foundational source or basis of something. Unity describes principle as a law which seems to govern humankind no matter where we live and no matter how we conceive or relate to God. How we view the divine doesn't matter. These principles are always working in our lives and in our universe. And they have been expressed in many ways through thousands of years. So Fillmore is saying basically for us to become aware of the freedom that we were born with, that we have at all times, we have to release the negative claims that we have been accepting and break the limiting belief that we have allowed to weigh down upon us. Those are the chains. We do this by choosing again and again and again to live our life based on principle, the basic law which governs the whole of humanity. Here are the 5 basic truth principles of unity, which we can base our lives upon and become aware of our freedom. Number 1, God is all there is, present everywhere and absolute good. With this principle, we can say no to anything that would seem to take away or annihilate this one presence and power. We can say no to anything that ultimately takes away or seems to take away our experience of good. Because God is all there is, present everywhere, and is absolute good. Number 2, human beings are created in the image of God, and our very essence is divine. Therefore, we are inherently good. This principle speaks about our worth, our value, our innate divinity. And number 3, we create our experiences of life through our way of thinking. How we react or respond to the situations that we find ourselves in, especially the painful ones, the hurtful ones, the ones that evoke these deep emotions here. This determines how we experience those very situations, a kind of catch-22. We can choose to respond differently. We can choose to respond with anger, resentment, with the need to retaliate, with fear, with worry. Or we can choose to respond to painful or hurtful situations from a space that gets the job done, but without all the negative emotion. We can choose to respond to things from a place of patience, of forgiveness, and kindness. Number 4, our lives can be changed and transformed through the power of prayer. Every day we experience or hear stories from others about how the wondrous things that prayer has brought into manifestation. And we hear some of those stories here in our own church here as we share in the blessings and concerns portion of our service. Through surrendering to God the things that we don't understand and the things that we can't do, we are able to participate in this transformation of our being. Number 5, knowing these principles is not enough. We must live the truth that we know. Of course, this means practicing the presence, remembering that the one presence and power that there is, it's in you. It's right where you are. It's right in the midst of the things that you are dealing with in your life. It is right there when you are allowing the claims, the negative claims of others to bear down on you and to become a chain weighing you down. In John 8, verse 31 through 36, Jesus shares how we can experience the freedom that we were born with, the freedom that we seek. He says to those listening to him, "If you abide in my word, you are my disciples, and you shall know the truth, and that truth shall make you free." Now, in his audience were a number of Jews, and they took issue with him. And they said, "We're Abraham's descendants, And we have never been in bondage to anyone. So how can you say you will be made free? And they didn't really understand, I think, what Jesus was really saying when he said that you could be made free, meaning that you are in bondage. So Jesus answered them and said, "Most assuredly, I say to you that whoever commits a sin is a slave to sin. And the slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever in the house. Therefore, if the Son of Man makes you free, you are free indeed." Now, what does this mean? Well, I believe that Jesus is saying that if we work, because it said that we are to abide in the Word, if we work with the words, the teachings of the Christ, as given through Jesus, and the teachings of the Christ as given through that presence of God in us, if we work with these, if we abide in them, rest in them, accept these words, apply them, then we will experience an awareness of the freedom that we have. Basically, it means that we will be able to lay aside any claims that are false about us and break any chains of negative thinking that have weighed us down. When we pray in unity, we turn our thoughts from fear and anxiety and worry and doubt, and we think of love and harmony and peace and abundance. We use positive statements that we call affirmations, which state the truth behind the appearances that show themselves in our lives. We abide in the words of our affirmations. I like that word, abide. I think there's a song that says something about abide in me. You guys from the old school here, okay? We don't sing those kind of songs here in Unity, but that's a kind of powerful idea, abiding in something. Abiding in the Word, the creative Word. Remember, God created the world with words. Let there be. And you and I, who are co-creators with God, we create with our Word as well. We were studying that this morning. Sometimes we're not aware what we are creating because we can create what is positive and uplifting, and we can also tear something down, even another person, even our own selves with our negative self-talk. And this negative self-talk, well, these are chains that we bind ourselves with. But the message here is that we can be free of these chains that bind us. It's not always easy to hold the truth that God's will for us is always and only good, especially if we have deep-seated fears and anxiety about what's going on in our life, or even deep-seated fears about what might happen in the future. It's not always easy to have faith that God is the only presence and power, and that this presence and power is working for good, for our good. Because sometimes, quite honestly, looking out with our human eyes, it doesn't always appear as if things are working for our good. And that is where our work comes in. Our work in trusting and believing and abiding in this truth that we know. Unity teaches a variety of tools that help us gain freedom from the limiting negative claims that others make about us that we accept, consciously or unconsciously. And many of us have accepted a lot of things for a lot of years from other people, from loved ones, from strangers, from the television set, my goodness, okay? You ever start watching those commercials, okay, and tell you that, you've got to brush your teeth with a certain kind of toothpaste, okay? Wear a certain kind of lotion, okay? And all of these things are subtle ways that someone else is making a claim about us. And it calls for us to be vigilant. That's not true, okay? That's not true about me. Unity's tools are quite a few. And actually, we've got Emmett Fox's golden key. And this is a process where whenever we start worrying about things or we start letting the chains of negative thoughts weigh us down, we substitute thoughts of God. It's a simple technique, but powerful. We have denials and affirmations that we teach in Unity now, and I will explain more about those in a moment. We use visualization and imagery, okay? Using pictures that we create in our mind to move us past the negative appearances that we face. There are the 12 spiritual powers meditation, forgiveness exercises, and the mental equivalent. And there are some others. Have any of you ever done any Unity treasure mapping? No? Some? Okay. Yeah. It's not done very much anymore, okay? Because I think initially, Catherine Ponder and the old school here, people made treasure maps for things that they wanted in the outer. Now, I don't believe that there's anything negative or anything wrong about making a treasure map on a car if you're needing a car, okay? In fact, I kind of did that, although I didn't actually sit down with a piece of paper and paste up different cars, you know, in colors and that kind of thing here. In my mind, I had my mindset on a particular kind of car because of primarily the gas mileage, 51, 53. Okay. And for a while, it looked like this was not going to be possible. There were 5 dealerships I was working with, and you all know the story, okay? It took over a month and a half, okay? And Chandler came from New Mexico and even had the red dust of New Mexico underneath the hood, okay? And why the dealer guy didn't clean that all off before I got there to Lawrence to pick up the car, I'm not sure. But he said, well, okay, let's go look under the hood. And of course, I don't really know what I'm looking at under the hood, okay? But I saw the red dust. I said, what's this? Oh, you got a little bit of New Mexico with you, okay? And he seemed quite proud of the fact, okay? I let it be. It seems to be, and I actually haven't washed it off yet, it seems to be part of Chandler, okay? His identity. Got a little Tex-Mex in there, okay? Okay? A little Kansas, okay? And he's loving it. I'm enjoying it, okay? But there are all these tools that we can use to remind us we're never not free spiritually, but we often don't realize it in our human self, okay? And I'm going to share 2 of these processes with you today. One of them you're probably familiar with because every year at the new year we do the burning bowl service, okay? The burning bowl is a technique that uses denials. Now, yeah, I know denial is a river in Africa, okay? But denial in Unity does not mean that we look at a fact and say that's not happening. If my arm is broken, we do not make a denial statement that says my arm is not broken, okay? If I've experienced a breakup in a relationship that was important to me and I'm in pain, I don't use a denial and say I'm not hurting, because I am. Okay? What we do with the denial is we take back the power that we've given something over us. So a denial statement about my broken arm would be, the fact that my arm is broken is not going to keep me from having a good day today. The experience of my relationship dissolving is not going to keep God's good from flowing into my life. These are all denials. And the burning bowl service is a process where we use denial to release and let go of those things that make negative claims on us. Those ideas and thoughts and behaviors and attitudes that weigh us down, they are chains for us. And if you'd like to do this at home, I suggest you use your bathroom sink where you have some water. And what the process simply entails is getting a piece of paper sitting down, do some contemplation, get centered, and open your mind and heart to have revealed to you what it is you need to let go of, what it is you want to let go of. And sometimes it's not always a negative thing. Sometimes it's a good thing, but it's something that we're holding on to that blocks new good. We can be holding on to something in the past that was wonderful and beautiful and loving and healing. And yet that is past, and we need to move on. And so letting that go is just as important as letting go of something that drags us down and weighs us down, the negative. So write out what it is that comes to you that you need to let go of to be open to God's new good in your life. And write that out, and you can light that with a match over your bathroom sink, okay? Or you can tear that piece of paper up into tiny pieces and flush it down the toilet, if you would like. Just the idea of letting it go, releasing it. You can tear it up and put it in the trash and realize that this is symbolically a way of letting it go, releasing whatever that is, okay? Now, sometimes items want to creep back. I'm thinking of that commercial with the green guy. What is that? It's about, is it allergies or cold or something? That green creature, anyone remember that is? That's it, okay, right. And sometimes he comes back with his buddies and everything. I remember with the whole family, they had luggage and all that kind of stuff, okay? And whatever it is you're releasing may want to come back, okay? And you can just remember that you have released it and let it go in mind again. Wish it well, okay? And let it go. And that is one way to reclaim our sense of freedom. Because when we are feeling weighed down with whatever it is and not free to grow, to be open to new good, there's something there that we need to let go of. The other technique I wanted to share with you is in your program. It's called the Answer Attitude, and I love this one. It was written by Unity minister Charles Roth, and it can be found in his book, Mind, the Master Power. And basically, you sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, and you write my problem at the top, or my challenge at the top. And then you ask yourself, what exactly is my problem? And reflect on that. Try to be honest with yourself. And he suggests that we try not to let our emotions kind of swirl all over the place, okay? Kind of make believe like you're a news reporter and you want the facts, ma'am, okay, or sir. So you want to write down the facts of what is bothering you. And then you go to the second area and you write God's answer there. And you find God's answer by looking at the words that you have written. And wherever you have negative words or phrases, substitute positive words or phrases. And the example given on this sheet, this is out of the book here, is someone who has had a change on their job. And this person, their problem, they wrote as, I'm nervous and tense about the new work that they've given me at the office. I'm afraid I won't live up to their expectations and all that I've worked for will be lost. But I desperately need the money to fulfill my obligations at home. So that's what they wrote as their concise problem. And now, with this process, God's answer, the first thing you do is you look at whatever the first word or phrase is that is negative, and you think of its opposite. So, in this case, the words, I am nervous and tense, begin the sentence of the problem. So you look for the opposite. And he suggests something like, I am serene and undisturbed about the new work they have given me in the office. Now, personally, I think that might be kind of a stretch, okay? You just came from, I'm nervous and tense, and now you're going to affirm, I'm serene and undisturbed. I would probably have to put in there, spiritually, I am serene and undisturbed. Because humanly, probably my mind is going like this, okay? with the fear that I may lose my job, okay? But spiritually, when I connect with that aspect of myself, I can lay that negative claim aside and break that chain of negativity. Spiritually, I am serene and undisturbed about the new work that they have given me in the office. And then you look for the next negative word. I'm afraid I will not live up to their expectations, and I will have worked, and all that I have worked for will be lost. And so you turn that into a statement. He suggests, because God and I are an unbeatable team, I am confident of more than living up to their expectations. And this will turn out to be a stepping stone in my increasing success. Again, if that's difficult, remember you're talking about the spiritual self. You are a spiritual being, said Pierre Desjardins, having a human experience. So remember, affirmations are, and even denials, we're talking about deeper levels than just the appearances of things. Okay? So turning that around, we see that God and I are a team. Or you can try something like divine wisdom guides and directs me in how best to accomplish this new work. And I am successful and I am well compensated for it. So you get the idea. Every phrase or word of negativity that was part of your description of your problem, substitute something that is positive and affirmative. Rolf writes, there's God's answer. Once you're done with this process, you have what is called a prayer treatment, and a affirmation paragraph, okay? Hopefully it's not a book, okay, because you want to keep it kind of short and concise, okay? That way you can put it on a card, okay, and take it places or put it up someplace where you can see it and read it. Then what you do is you read this answer, and here's what we come up with here with this one. Let's see. I am serene. Oh, the stated problem is I'm nervous and tense about the new work being given me at the office, and I'm afraid that I will not live up to their expectations, and all that I've worked for will be lost. But I desperately need the money to fulfill my obligations at home. And so the prayer treatment, God's answer, which is our answer, is I am spiritually serene and undisturbed about the new work that they have given me at the office. Because God and I are an unbeatable team, I am confident of more than living up to their expectations. And this will turn out to be a stepping stone to my increasing success. God is the source of my supply. My every need and obligation is fulfilled easily and abundantly, and I am grateful. I invite you to try these techniques. I have used them both and have found them to be very powerful in my life. God bless you. And now